I stood in the lobby of Montgomery Industries, staring up at the massive portrait of my father that dominated the entrance. James Montgomery, founder and CEO, looking down at everyone with that stern expression I knew so well. After 30 years of building this company, he was finally retiring, and apparently I wasn't worthy of attending the celebration. My phone buzzed, another text from my sister Olivia. "Stop embarrassing yourself by hanging around the office. The party is for successful people only. You know, the ones who didn't disappoint Dad at every turn." I slipped my phone back into my pocket, straightening my simple black blazer. At 32, I had long since stopped trying to compete with Olivia's designer wardrobe or her carefully curated image as the good daughter. The one who had followed Dad's path, climbing the corporate ladder exactly as he had planned. "Miss Montgomery?" A security guard approached, looking uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, but Miss Olivia asked me to remind you that you're not on the guest list for tonight's event." Of course she had. My sister never missed an opportunity to flex her authority as vice president of operations. "It's fine," I said quietly. "I was just leaving." As I walked to my car, the same reliable Honda I'd driven for years, I thought about how different things could have been. 10 years ago I was the one working alongside Dad, learning every aspect of the business from the ground up. I had ideas, innovations, ways to modernize the company and prepare it for the future. But Dad didn't want innovation. He wanted obedience. "This is how we've always done things," he would say, dismissing my suggestions without even looking at them. "If you want to be part of this company, you need to respect tradition." Olivia understood that game better than I did. She played it perfectly, never questioning, never challenging, just nodding and smiling and doing exactly what Dad expected. When I finally couldn't take it anymore and left to start my own consulting firm, she stepped smoothly into my place, becoming everything I hadn't been. The dutiful daughter. The perfect successor. The one who would carry on Dad's legacy exactly as he had built it. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. "Darling, please don't make a scene. You know how important this night is for your father. Maybe if you had stuck with the company instead of running off to do your own thing." I turned off my phone. I didn't need to read the rest. I'd heard it all before, how I'd thrown away my birthright, how I'd broken Dad's heart, how I'd chosen my silly little consulting business over family loyalty. What they didn't know was that my silly little consulting business had grown into something far beyond their imagination. While they were stuck in their traditional ways, resistant to change, I had built a modern, agile company that specialized in transforming old, struggling businesses into efficient, profitable enterprises. And I had done it all quietly, operating through shell companies and holding corporations, keeping my name out of the headlines. To my family, I was still just their disappointing daughter who had walked away from her destiny. They had no idea that I now controlled a network of companies worth billions, including, as of last week, the majority stake in Montgomery Industries. The board members had been surprisingly eager to sell. It turned out Dad's resistance to change had left the company vulnerable, struggling to compete in a rapidly evolving market. My sister's yes-woman approach hadn't helped either. The stock price had been declining for years, and when my holding company made an offer through our proxy firm, they jumped at it. I parked my car and walked into my real office. Not the modest consulting space my family knew about, but the penthouse suite of the city's most prestigious business tower. My assistant, Michael, was waiting with a stack of papers. "Everything's ready," he said, handing me the files. "The board approved the sale unanimously. You now own 51% of Montgomery Industries." I nodded, running my fingers over the company logo on the documents. "And the leadership announcement?" "Scheduled for tonight during the retirement party." Michael hesitated. "Are you sure about this timing? It's going to be quite a shock." I thought about all the family dinners where I'd sat silently while Olivia bragged about her latest accomplishment. All the times Dad had used me as an example of what failure looked like. All the condescending career advice from people who had no idea what I had built. "The timing is perfect," I said. "Has the new management team been briefed?" "Yes, they're ready to implement the modernization plan immediately. Your father's retirement party will effectively be a changing of the guard." I picked up a small wrapped package from my desk, my father's retirement gift. Inside was a framed copy of my first business proposal, the one he had dismissed without reading 10 years ago. The one that had outlined exactly the kind of changes the company needed to survive. Make sure our car is ready at 8, I told Michael. I want to arrive just as Dad is giving his farewell speech. Of course. He paused at the door. Your sister called the office again. She was quite insistent about making sure you understood you weren't welcome at the party. I smiled, thinking of the security team that would be escorting Olivia out of her office tomorrow morning. Don't worry. After tonight, she won't be in a position to decide who's welcome anywhere. As evening fell, I watched from my office window as cars began arriving at the Montgomery Industries building. I could see the lights of the grand ballroom where the party would be held, the same room where I had attended countless corporate events as a child, always trying to live up to my father's impossible standards. My phone buzzed one final time, a message from the board chairman. Everything is in place. The papers will be signed during the party, and the announcement of new ownership will be made immediately after. I took a deep breath, remembering the day I had walked away from Montgomery Industries. Dad had stood in his office looking down at me with disappointment. If you walk out that door, he had said, don't expect to ever have a place in this company again. I won't need one, I had replied. I'll build something better. He had actually laughed at that. Build something better? You can barely handle the responsibilities you have here. Face it, you're not cut out for real business. That laughter had fueled me through countless late nights, through every setback and challenge. It had driven me to work harder, think smarter, and prove that I could do more than just follow in his footsteps. I could forge my own path. Now, looking at the Montgomery Industries building, I knew that path had led me right back here. But this time I wasn't returning as the dutiful daughter trying to please her father. I was returning as the owner. The Montgomery Industries ballroom glittered with success and self-importance. Through the glass doors I could see my father standing at the podium, basking in the applause of his carefully curated audience. Olivia stood nearby, wearing an expensive designer dress that probably cost more than most of her employees made in a month. Ready? Michael asked quietly. I checked my reflection in a nearby mirror. My simple black dress might not have been designer, but it radiated quiet confidence. Perfect timing. Dad's just starting his farewell speech. Through the doors I could hear his familiar voice. When I started this company 30 years ago, I had a vision. A vision of building something that would last, something that would carry on through generations. I smiled. It would carry on all right. Just not the way he had planned. The security guard at the door started to step forward, but Michael quietly showed him a badge that made him step aside immediately. The perks of being the actual owner of the building. And now, as I prepare to step down, my father continued, I'm proud to announce that the company will remain in capable hands. My daughter. That was my cue. I pushed open the ballroom doors. The click of my heels against the marble floor echoed through the sudden silence. Olivia's face twisted in fury as she saw me. My mother, seated at the front table, nearly dropped her champagne glass. Security. Olivia hissed. I thought I told you she's not allowed. Stand down, came a firm voice. The board chairman, Mr. Harrison, had stepped forward. She has every right to be here. My father's hands gripped the podium. What is the meaning of this? I walked calmly to the front of the room, enjoying every click of my heels against the floor. Please, Dad, continue. You were just about to announce the company's new leadership. How dare you interrupt? Olivia started, but Mr. Harrison cut her off. Actually, there's been a change of plans. He turned to address the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, before Mr. Montgomery announces his successor, there's something you all need to know. As of this morning, Montgomery Industries has a new majority shareholder. The room erupted in murmurs. My father's face had gone pale. What? That's impossible. I haven't approved any. The board voted unanimously, Mr. Harrison continued. The company has been struggling for years, resistant to necessary changes, falling behind our competitors. The offer we received was not just generous. It included a comprehensive modernization plan that could save thousands of jobs. Olivia's perfectly manicured hands were shaking. But I'm supposed to be CEO. Dad promised. I said, stepping up to the podium, this belongs to me now. The silence in the room was absolute. My father stared at me, recognition slowly dawning in his eyes. It was you. I smiled. Phoenix Consulting Group. Ever heard of it? Of course you haven't. You never bothered to look into what I was doing after I left. Too busy grooming Olivia to be your perfect copy. Phoenix. Olivia whispered. The company that's been buying up struggling traditional businesses and turning them around. The very same. I turned to address the crowd. For those who don't know me, I'm Catherine Montgomery. 10 years ago, I left this company because my father refused to consider any kind of innovation or change. He was too focused on doing things the way we've always done them. I pulled out the framed proposal from my bag. This was my parting gift, a detailed plan for modernizing Montgomery Industries. Dad didn't even read it. He was too busy laughing at the idea that I could build something better than what he had created. My father's face had turned an interesting shade of red. You had no right, Dash. I had every right, I cut him off. The board approved the sale because they saw what you refused to see, that this company needs to change to survive. Your stubborn adherence to tradition has left us vulnerable, outdated, losing market share every quarter. Olivia lunged forward. Security. Remove her immediately. I wouldn't do that if I were you, I said calmly. As the new majority owner of Montgomery Industries, I could have you escorted out instead. In fact, I checked my watch. Your office should be cleared out by noon tomorrow. You can't fire me, she shrieked. Dad, tell her she can't, Dash. He can't tell me anything anymore, I said. He's retiring, remember? And as for you, I pulled out another document. Your performance reviews for the past 5 years show a consistent pattern of mismanagement, failed initiatives, and declining profits. The only reason you kept your position was nepotism. That ends today. My mother had finally found her voice. Catherine, how could you do this to your own family? Family. I laughed. Was it family when you excluded me from every holiday because I was an embarrassment? Was it family when Olivia spread rumors about my mental health to explain why I left? Was it family when Dad used me as a cautionary tale about failure? I turned back to the crowd. But this isn't about revenge. This is about saving a company that employs thousands of people. This is about adapting to a changing market before it's too late. Mr. Harrison stepped forward again. The board has reviewed Ms. Montgomery's modernization plan. It's exactly what this company needs: streamlined operations, digital transformation, sustainable practices. Everything we've been advocating for years. My father had sunk into a chair, looking suddenly old. All this time, you were building an empire while you thought I was a failure? I nodded. That's the problem with you and Olivia, Dad. You're so focused on appearances, on doing things your way, that you miss what's really important. I walked over to him, placing the framed proposal on the table. Remember when you laughed at this? When you said I wasn't cut out for real business? Well, Phoenix Consulting Group now owns controlling interest in 15 major corporations. We specialize in taking outdated companies and making them relevant again. Olivia was still shaking. But all those times we saw you, your little office downtown, that old car. Appearances can be deceiving, sister dear. Something you never understood. You were so busy showing off your success that you never bothered to build anything real. I turned back to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, Montgomery Industries is entering a new era. We'll be implementing comprehensive modernization plans, investing in our workforce, and bringing this company into the 21st century. Those who can adapt will thrive. Those who can't, I looked pointedly at Olivia, will need to seek opportunities elsewhere. The room was silent for a moment, then erupted in applause. Many of the employees had been frustrated with the company's stagnation, watching competitors pass us by while Dad and Olivia clung to outdated methods. As the reality of the situation sank in, my father finally spoke again. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened? I asked quietly. You never listened before. You were too busy being disappointed that I wouldn't follow your exact path. Well, I found my own path. And it led me right back here, not as your obedient daughter but as your boss. Over the next few weeks, the changes at Montgomery Industries were swift and dramatic. Olivia, true to form, tried to sue for wrongful termination but quickly discovered that her years of documented mismanagement made her case hopeless. She ended up taking a middle management position at a much smaller company. Dad struggled with the transition, watching as his precious traditions were replaced with modern methods. But even he couldn't deny the results. Within 6 months, company profits had increased by 40%. My mother still sends guilt-tripping texts about tearing the family apart. I respond by sending her quarterly reports showing how many jobs I've saved, how many families will continue to have steady incomes because I dared to challenge the status quo. The portrait in the lobby? It's gone now. In its place hangs a simple mission statement: embrace change, drive innovation, build future. Sometimes late at night I sit in what used to be my father's office, looking out over the city. I think about that day 10 years ago when I walked away terrified but determined. Dad always said success was about following the established path. He was wrong. Sometimes success means forging your own path, even if everyone tells you you're wrong. Sometimes it means working in silence while others mock your choices. And sometimes, just sometimes, it means walking into your father's retirement party and showing him exactly what his failure of a daughter has become. The company's doing better than ever now. We're expanding into new markets, developing cutting-edge products, creating opportunities Dad never dreamed of. The employees are happier, more motivated, finally able to contribute their ideas without fear of tradition shutting them down. And that simple black dress I wore to the party? It's framed in my office now next to Dad's old portrait. A reminder that success doesn't always wear designer labels or announce itself to the world. Sometimes it walks quietly into a room and changes everything. The best revenge, after all, isn't just proving them wrong. It's proving yourself right.